Good afternoon, college football fans. Here we are. The committee has selected those top four teams. Well, they are as follows: the Ohio State Buckeyes, the TCU Horned Frogs, the Michigan Wolverines, and yes, we all knew, the Georgia Bulldogs. Ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to the four teams selected into the college football playoff. All right, y'all, here it is. Here we go. This is it. We got our four teams. They're all set. They're all ready to rock and roll. And, well, we have ourselves a fun little show for y'all today. So, was this unexpected? Yeah, it was. But aren't some of the best things unexpected? Yes, they are. With that said, y'all, we are ready to rock and roll once again. I have some company here today. We are going to be here for possibly the next 30 to 60 minutes to be exact. We don't know, but we do know that we have ourselves these four teams. Two of them go head to head. Well, you guys know what's going to happen. We get 2 and 2, and then the one coming up in January. Who's going to win it all this year? Do we agree with the selections? Wait a minute, didn't TCU lose? Oh yeah, ladies and gentlemen, we got plenty to talk about. You are tuned in live to 3.5 College Edition right here on IE Sports Radio. Your directory for all that is sports. Welcome, college football fans. Well, here we are yet again. And then there were four. Oh my goodness. We had a lot of and then there were fours this week. And, well, we got to and then there were four today, as a matter of fact. While the second half, the NJCAA at 3 p.m. Pacific time, 6 p.m. Eastern time. Number 3, Iowa Western. We'll be taking on number 2, Northwest Mississippi. Yesterday, we had one team through, and, well, it was pretty awesome. We had, big shout out, by the way, to DuPage. Yes! They will earn themselves a title, defeating North Dakota SCS yesterday. Second title back-to-back, so congratulations to DuPage, the Chaparrals in NJCAA Division III. Also, we had a little bit of fun with the NJCAA first semifinal yesterday. Congratulations to Hutchinson. They did away with Coffeyville, man. They are through. The Blue Dragons will face the winner of today, of course, Iowa Western or Northwest Mississippi. So congratulations there. The NAIA, well, and then there were 4 yesterday in the NAIA. And, well, we had a pretty good one. Because, ladies and gentlemen, I said yesterday on the show with Taryn that if, for some reason, Kaiser from freaking Florida, the Kaiser Seahawks, were to go up, they defeated Morningside, okay, the champions from last year. They were 2 years in a row, I believe, from Iowa, Morningside University. And if they went to Iowa 2 weeks ago, or last weekend, and defeated Morningside, and they went back up yesterday to Iowa to defeat Grandview. I was going to say Grand Valley. Wrong one. Wrong division here. That they will probably win the national championship. So I do not want to shun. By the way, congratulations to the team that was through yesterday as well on the other side, Northwestern College, excuse me, for defeating Indiana Wesleyan. But no shade to those guys. But if Kaiser can go up twice to Iowa, 2 weekends in a row, knock off the defending champs, and then the team that looked like they might have been the champs this year in Grandview, I was going to pick them. So, ladies and gentlemen, congratulations to Kaiser University, y'all. They are going to be taking on Northwestern College, and this is going to be a good one. I'm really excited for that. Coming up next weekend. in the NAIA, the championship there. We're going to have a new champion this year. So I don't know. I'm going to go with Kaiser. You guys already know I said I would pick him, but it should be a good fight there. So a good battle. We also had my beloved Riverside Tigers. And we started things off pretty solid, you guys. Riverside Tigers kicking some butt there, having a good old time. My beloved Riverside Tigers winning this game. And, moving on to the championship here. Really excited for that. The 3C2A championship. They'll take on San Mateo. They won it all. Well, they won yesterday. They defeated American River. They jumped up there. That was another. And then there were 4. So as you can see, we had plenty of them yesterday. And, today, we have ourselves another, and then there were 4. So with that said, ladies and gentlemen, let me go ahead and bring in my co-hosts for the day. There are 2 of them, not 1. And, I'm glad to have them here. Ladies and gentlemen, one of them, of course, is on the other side. Because, Raiders and Chargers play in about an hour or so. Anyway, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, he, of course, is my co-host here at IE Sports Radio. Glad to have him, of course, here on 3 and Out, College Edition. And great dude, IE Sports Radio Hall of Famer. He, of course, is one half of this show, 3 and Out College Edition. He, of course, is the host of Set Point, the host of the SoCal Spring Sports Show, and I guess all-around great dude. He does pretty much almost everything here but sells popcorn at IE Sports Radio. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome, of course, the one, the only, Mr. Taryn Rodriguez. What's going on, brother? How you doing today, man?
Hey, Larry. Doing good. Glad to be back talking college football with you. Let's get this party started.
I'm with you, brother. Glad to have you back. Glad to have you here, man. Let's have some fun. And, of course, he is the guy that thought about this special here today. I was going to do like a little TikTok video today, maybe. But I think this little show would be a lot better. Ladies and gentlemen, he, of course, is the host of Sin City Sports here at IA Sports Radio. He does an amazing job every week. This guy brings the thunder. And, he's a fellow Raider fan. Terran's a Charger fan. Oh, I'm sorry. I got a cough. Anyway, with that said, ladies and gentlemen, we have ourselves a awesome little cast here today. And the third musketeer here, he, of course, is, as I said, the man who covers it all in Vegas here at IE Sports Radio. And, did I forget to mention he is a IE Sports Radio Hall of Fame Class 2022 nominee. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cale Henderson. Sorry about that. What's going on, brother? How you doing today, man?
Hey, guys, man. Thank you guys so much for getting on today. I just saw I just was super fired up about this weekend's football. You know what I mean? Like, it was just so much fun to watch. It was fun to watch Michigan and Purdue go at it. It was really fun to watch Utah and USC go at it. I mean, this lineup of football this weekend was just one of the reasons why I'm like, dude, let's get on and talk about it, man. We got the free time. We might as well get after it because that's what football is about. And before we get into it, man, I got to tell you, my cousin, Josh Holm, is actually a redshirt freshman quarterback for Northwestern there at NAIA. So I'm pretty familiar with what's going on in that area just because, I used to coach him when he was a 7th grader. So, I mean, it's pretty fun to see him having success over there. He's only a scout team quarterback right now, but I know he's a huge reason as to why Northwestern's been doing what they're doing because you need those scout team guys, man, to get you ready for your opponents. So it's super cool to see that Northwestern's going to be playing that national championship game.
Well, who feels like an a-hole right now for saying I'm going to take Kaiser? Wow, okay, well, there you go. But that's pretty freaking cool. Cale Henderson, that's awesome, dude. I did not know that. That's pretty awesome. Northwestern College this year has had quite the season. They have been through a lot. They have fought a lot of really good teams. And yesterday, man, they just went ahead and did away, destroyed Indiana Wesleyan 38-7. And yeah, man, you got to. I was a scout teamer before I was a starter as well. And dude, it happens, man. I mean, you gotta climb the ranks, and that's just really, really cool to know that he's a part of that team. And hey, man, they got something special going on over there. And let's just say he might be a part of something even bigger because whether they win it or not next weekend, he's got a chance to actually continue to feed into this program, but he has a chance to grow this program. And who knows, man, he might be that guy behind center when they're lining up for another national championship in a few years, and he might help them win a ring, man. So that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I mean, Josh is a really one of the things I could say about him is even as a 7th grader, I was one of those young guns that came into a youth football program and was like, hey, we need to run the spread. And they're like, well, that's weak. I'm like, yeah, but the spread doesn't have to be weak. You can run power out of the spread. That's kind of my forte. Josh was one of those kids that just so smart, extremely intelligent. He's straight A kid. He got like 28 plus on the ACTs. I mean, he's just a super, super smart kid. Actually, when you go to, if you guys get a chance, go to SiouxCityJournal.com. You'll see a picture of him running the ball, number 12 there. They showed pictures of the game. He's just a great kid. Program's awesome. Their receiver is unreal. Trying to remember his name. All of a sudden, I'm blanking for some reason. Sorry, guys. I'm on the radio show, so I'm blanking. But their receiver's like all NAIA, like nasty human being. Like he's been given invites, or he's been issued invites to regional combines. So Northwestern's got some really good things going on over there.
Dude, that's incredible. I am so happy to hear that. I'm really happy to cheer for him. So, yeah, who knows, man? Maybe we'll see what goes on next week, but I definitely look forward to seeing him in the future playing for them. And, yeah, man, we got to get his name and make sure to check him out. So, big ups to him, man. Big ups to Northwestern College. All the best. May the best team win next weekend, and we shall see him, man. NAIA football, we talk about it here on Three and Out College Edition. I mean, all of it is great. Every one of it. You got guys like Cecil Shorts. Yeah, Mount Union. You got a guy like Ali Marpet that just retired last year with a ring, blocked for Tom Brady out of Hobart, Division III. Kale and I both played Division III. I mean, guys, I played in the 3C2A for Riverside. You guys hear that pretty much every week because I cheer on my Tigers all the time. I mean, guys, it doesn't matter where you go. Dion said it best, and we're going to be talking about Dion in a little bit, but Dion said it best. If you ball, you get the call. And especially nowadays where social media is like bigger than TV. I mean, some people fork over going some people actually fork over playing high school ball to play in like travel ball or academies. That used to be the thing. Playing for your high school used to be the thing. That was the big thing. If you were a high school guy, getting filmed. No, now you just gotta have somebody recording you, making you a social media page, getting you out there. And that's why things like, I feel like the IMG Academy exists. Maybe not totally, but I'm just saying. At the end of the day, it really doesn't matter where you play or what you play. You will get the call if you are out there. And yeah, so this is pretty awesome, man. So yeah, I mean, doesn't matter what level you play at, doesn't matter where you play at. So that's pretty cool, Kale. I think it's really awesome for your cousin, man. And well, there you go. So with that said, all right, ladies and gentlemen, we have those championships all set for next weekend. So freaking excited for them. Division 2, of course. Division 3, they just finished up with the quarterfinals this past weekend. We won't get into that. We'll talk about that next weekend, of course, with Taryn and I next Saturday morning. And then, of course, the FCS wrapped up their first round, or I believe second round. Forgot which one it was. But anyway, second round. So we got plenty of that to get into next weekend. But earlier today, about 3 hours ago, the college football playoff had been selected, and 4 teams are in. And, well, some people aren't very happy about the 4, and some people are like, no, that makes sense. I think I'll take it. And others are just kind of like, my team sucks and didn't get in. SC. Anyway, so, yeah, I mean, we have ourselves some fun to talk about here today, and I just want to open this thing up and go ahead and get right on into the girth of it all. Well, Taryn, start us off, brother. This morning, they were all selected, of course. We kind of maybe knew it, maybe didn't. Some of us were having the ongoing joke of the SEC bias and Alabama getting in somehow, some way, regardless. They could have lost 5 games and got in. I'm just kidding. Maybe not that ridiculous. But anyway, Ohio State, TCU, Michigan, Georgia. Was it any surprise? I don't know. Is there any surprise where they're placed? I don't know. Give it to us, Taryn. Start us off, brother. What do you think about this selection from the committee this morning?
I was a little surprised, basically, because Alabama was the college football committee's cash cow in terms of like ratings and money. But I think the committee got it right. I really thought that TCU played a tough schedule. Their resume looked so much more better than Alabama's, and they only lost their conference football championship by 3 points in overtime. Now, if they'd gotten blown out, kind of like how USC did, no offense, Larry, then I would maybe modify it to Ohio State 3 and then Alabama 4. But I really like how TCU just stayed put where they were at, just because Kansas State deserves a lot of credit just because they lost to TCU. And I really think that TCU having a win over Kansas State kind of puts a feather in their cap. Whereas if they had lost to Kansas State, then I could see TCU dropping out of the top four. But you got to give credit to TCU. Like I said earlier, I thought everything was going to be Oklahoma. I thought the three-headed monster was going to be Oklahoma State, and then Baylor. Instead, it was a complete curveball with TCU and Kansas State just rising up to power. And I really think that the Big 12 is being represented well with TCU. And now with TCU, they got the bad game out of the way, and there is no pressure for them to being undefeated. It's not like Michigan or Georgia, which are still undefeated. They now no longer have the pressure of finishing the season undefeated. Now they could pretty much play with house money against Michigan. So I really thought the committee got it right. And then Ohio State kind of deserves to be in. I know everyone doesn't want to see Ohio State or Alabama or Clemson, but I think Ohio State kind of earned it for the most part. So they've earned it more than Alabama, that's for sure.
I agree with you, brother. I agree. And, well, I don't want to say a word more, though, because we got a guy who is so amped up to be here today with us, and I'm really excited to have him here as well, Terrence. So, Cale Henderson, the floor is yours, brother. What do you think, man? Give us every thought you got.
Honestly, man, like I don't disagree with anything Terrence said. I don't think they got it wrong. The fourth place team every single year seems to come with controversy, like it did back in its inception when they had Washington in there at 11-1, right? Everyone knew that Washington was just going to get rolled by Alabama, but they put them in there because it was probably the least dangerous thing they could do. In my opinion, Alabama is a better football team than Ohio State. I think Alabama was riddled with injuries throughout the season. They lost by a combined 4 points to two top 10 teams. They didn't get bludgeoned to death by 22 points by their rival at home. So to me, it would have been Alabama at 4. But I understand, like, I think the committee made the safe call, right? I don't think they really did the eye test. So that's the only issue I have with maybe the college football committee the last, 6 to 8 years that they've done it, is sometimes the eye test isn't really factored in. The knowledge of knowing, like, this team played in a much tougher conference and they're getting penalized because they may have lost the game in that tougher conference. Like, I don't have a problem with the way it's set up. I think I predicted it last week on our chat within IE Sports Radio. I just figured after the couple losses, Alabama would have squeaked in there, and I thought that was probably the best decision you have. I just think they're a better football team overall than TCU, and I think they're a better football team overall than Ohio State. Just my opinion, though.
You know, Cal, you bring up a great point. It's crazy to think, because also it's kind of funny. Myself and Bobby Cash talked a little bit as well a little bit ago on Twitter when we put up the rankings. I totally forgot to, and I'm like, oh crap! So I'm putting them up and everything. It's been a crazy weekend, guys. Christmas shopping and all that fun stuff. But anyway, so I'm over here putting everything up, it's funny. After I put it up, Bobby Cash, one half of Philly Sports Talk here on iSports Radio on Tuesday evenings, which is 2 hours before Cal takes the airwaves, of course. And he is right after the Neutral Zone. Kind of funny that he used to host that show along with Nico Green, and he's now following it on Tuesday nights. Anyway, it's kind of funny. But anyway, regardless, it's crazy to think that, yeah, Bobby brought up a good point. He's like, really? Like, TCU got it. And I get why he says it, because they lost. They lost their championship. They did. They lost the Big 12. Okay, they lost conference championship, and I totally understand that. But if you look at everybody else, I mean, my goodness, gentlemen, we see here that 5. Yeah, Alabama lost 2 games. Are they a better football team than Ohio State? I gotta agree.
Yes.
They probably are. Yes, I could see it. Yes, but
better TCU too.
Yep. Yeah, I think so. I honestly think so as well. But there'd be a lot of pissed off people if Alabama somehow got in there. I mean, I don't know. Some people might make the argument. I think this might be going a little too far. But the number 6 team, Tennessee, at 10-2. I mean, they had a dream year for sure. Mm-hmm. But let's just be real, guys. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if you're going to put them in there. I mean, TCU lost and Ohio State lost. Does that mean Alabama should actually get 3 and 4? I mean, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Some people are just tripping out about that. Clemson. Oh, they won the ACC championship yesterday. But I mean, do they somehow deserve to get in based on how good they are? So you see what I mean? Like, so all these things. So I don't know. Elaborate a little more, gentlemen. Go ahead and, I don't know, fight over the mic. Talk to us.
Go ahead, Taryn. If you got any thoughts, man, chime in.
Yeah, I mean, you could really make the argument for Ohio State and Alabama. I mean, Alabama lost to Tennessee, and they also lost to LSU, which also lost to Texas A&M, while Ohio State only lost to Michigan. So it's really just tough to really tell on who's really the fourth best team outside of Michigan, Georgia, and TCU in no particular order. So I really think that I still think the committee got it right, but I kind of agree. I think Alabama could be better than Ohio State and TCU. I mean, obviously Alabama plays in the very and always tough SEC, and then honestly, they didn't get blown out by Tennessee. I think they only lost by 3 points, if I'm not mistaken. And then I forget how many they lost to by LSU, but I don't think that was okay. Then it was see, they weren't blown out. It wasn't like Ohio State lost to Michigan. So I think you could really make the debate that Alabama could have probably been the fourth team in. And I think maybe they also could want to take into consideration that they didn't want Alabama to jump TCU because of the better resume. But it's just so up for debate. And maybe they didn't want to put Alabama at 4 just to have. Well, they didn't even play against one another in SEC.
Right. Look, man, I put it to you like this. Sorry, you were cutting out. I apologize. I thought you were done. Keep going, man. Sorry. That's my bad.
Yeah, it's basically a numbers game between wins and losses, strength of schedule, and your quality wins and losses, and everything else. Now you can go ahead.
Sorry, man. My bad. So I guess
it's all good.
This is, in my opinion, this is the only reason I like the idea of it expanding to 12 teams. You've already devalued bowl games so much to the point where you might as well have this grand tournament to begin with. I mean, if it was 12 teams now, we wouldn't have to worry about this. We wouldn't be having this splitting hairs argument. What I can say is this. I just look at it from a football perspective, man. I've studied film for years, right? I've played in college football. I get it. You have to win. You win and you're in. Okay. But the reality is, man, you got to look at the environment. You got to look at where they're playing. I'm an Alabama fan because I respect Nick Saban for what he's done. He's probably the greatest college football coach we've ever seen. And it's really impressive how he's been able to sustain that success. So I don't really have a skin in the game other than that. But what I can say is the SEC, if you put Alabama in the Big 12, they completely go undefeated there, right? You put Ohio State in the Big 12, they go undefeated. I don't see teams in those conferences, especially with Oklahoma being down, that would have had a shot to beat those two teams. And yet only one of them made the college football playoff. Again, I don't have a problem with the way that they put it out there. It was the safe pick for a bunch of older guys, sitting in a room judging football. What I don't like is that they didn't put the 4 best teams in this college football playoff. And that is what bothers me. And that's why I think it is beneficial. The only reason I think it's beneficial to go to that 12-team playoff, because this will not happen in the future. I just can't stomach, listen, TCU is a great story. And I totally agree with Larry. There's something you want to cheer for. Watching Max Duggan really, he couldn't throw the ball very well. Kansas State was locking down on their really, really good receivers. And Max Duggan just said, you know what, screw it. I'm just going to run the ball. I'm going to take over this game. I really respect that, but you still lost to a 9-3, now 10-3 Kansas State football team out of Manhattan. Not that they're not a good program, they're just not as good as the other programs that missed the playoffs. Tennessee should probably be the 4th team, and they would have been if Hooker didn't get hurt. Let's be real with that too. That's part of the reason why they're slightly below Alabama. But at the end of the day, I just don't feel like the 4 best teams in the nation squeaked in. Georgia and Michigan, no doubt. And I fully believe that they'll be the college football final. But 3 and 4, it was splitting hairs. And I just don't know if the college football committee, they made the right call, the safe call. I don't know if they made the right call, I should say. I don't think the 4 best teams got in my opinion.
Well, I mean, I my bad, Taryn. I was like, okay, well, is Taryn going to jump in there or not? But yeah, gentlemen, okay. yeah, it's definitely. I agree. I agree with that, Gail. It's hard. It is because we've been hearing about the bias. Even myself, sometimes it's like freaking seriously. But at the end of the day, it's kind of just a cop out sometimes because let's be real. SC, once again, and I'm going to say it, I get it, everyone's sick of me saying it, it's the last time I'm going to say it, but SC was in control of their own freaking destiny. I am sorry, and you didn't, okay, look, Kale, you played, dude, you understand, you know what I mean, Taryn, I know whether you didn't play the game, but at the end of the day, you've been around the game so much. You report on this. Might as well. You know what goes into this. You know how hard, and that's any sport. So at the end of the day, all three of us here understand that when it's crunch time, it's freaking crunch time. You gotta go. Like, there's no way around this. You gotta go. So for SC, I'm gonna make this short and sweet. You screwed yourselves. And you know what? Too bad, so sad. You should have blown out UCLA. I'm sorry. I get you got injured players or whatever, but it started there. You didn't want it. You played around with a team that you probably should have smacked around a little bit, maybe at least 2 touchdowns, okay? You blew out Notre Dame, or kind of, not blew them out, but beat them like how you should have beat UCLA. And you really think you're going to go and play a Utah team that you completely just gave up on? I mean, let's be real. That first game, like, seriously, USC had it in the bag. And then what happens? Oh, let's just let off the gas. We're cool. No, wrong. The Utes were like, hey, homie, we're not gone yet. And they freaking beat y'all. Then yesterday, same thing. SC gets up, 14-3? Like, it was great. Or Friday. And it's like, yeah, we're good. And then, no, sorry. And not even, at that point, it was 43-42, I think, in the first game, like super close. This time, Utah caught SC sooner and then ran it up. And you know what? Good for the Utes, man. If SC did not want it, and that's my team. I love them terribly, but as you guys know, I'm very hard on my team. Kind of like the freaking annoying team that's about to play in about a half an hour, actually in about an hour here. My beloved Vegas Raiders, won't get into that, but yeah, I mean, I just demand good stuff. At the end of the day, though, I'm just a diehard. But let's talk about that real fast, though. Look, SC had it. Had SC done what they came to do to win that game, we'd be talking about SC being that 4th team right now and playing Georgia. Don't know how that would have worked out. Probably not very pretty. But at least could have said, you know what, we're here. It's time to fight. There's no bias. Cool. How can anybody say, okay, yeah, I mean, the committee would have had an easier job with SC winning. But realistically, then again, if SC won and then TCU lost yesterday, would everybody be saying Alabama needs to be in now? I mean, I don't know. It could have went so many different ways. But let's get that whole bias thing out of the way. And this is coming from a guy who's once said about the bias. This is coming from the guy who teeter-totters with that. This is coming from a guy who's a Pac-12 guy. Big Ten, I guess, soon. But, this comes from a guy that entire purpose that UCLA and USC left is because of the bias, I think, because they're like, well, if we're not going to get noticed in the Pac-12, we got to go somewhere we're going to get noticed. I mean, at least that's what I think they left for. So anyway, that's all that crap. But yes, gentlemen, you talked about the tournament. Look at what we just talked about. We just talked about that in the very beginning of the show, or at least I just talked about it because I want to incorporate. I don't care. Some people are like, well, your show sucks or whatever because you guys talk about, you know what? Because we're diehards. If you don't want to hear this show, you can go somewhere else with that because we talk about all of it. So if you're not a fan of all of it, maybe you're not a true fan. I'm sorry, I said it. I'm sorry. All I know is look, you got to respect the other levels. That's what I got. That's okay. That was better. Sorry, got a little crazy there. But what I got to say is yes, Division 3 has a freaking gigantic tournament. Division 2 has a gigantic tournament. The FCS has a gigantic, it's not gigantic, but there's 24 teams, 16 teams. There's 4 teams that get a first round bye. In Division 2, they actually have the first round for 4 teams gets a first round bye. I mean, Division 3, no one gets a first round bye, but there's different ways of doing it. The NAIA, okay, completely separate from the NCAA. They get, there's no first round buys. There's just 16 teams that go at it. I mean, what doesn't the freaking FBS understand? I mean, are you serious? Yeah, this crap is annoying. The BCS was annoying. This is kind of annoying. Can we just, come on, man. You talk about making a marketable deal. Oh, bowl games, money. We get it, okay? It's all about the money. We know that. It's from day one, it's been about the money. We understand that. But are you serious? Just make a tournament and call the freaking semifinals and quarterfinals, whatever bowl you want to. It doesn't matter. Just call it that and make the money on that. come on. Like, you can own the month of December or November. I mean, no, March Madness is a thing, guys. You know what I mean? It's a thing. And the NCAA can own that with the FBS, make a tournament and make this very marketable. I mean, what don't you see there, you guys? And then on top of that, one last thing is we see how this tournament can be amazing. You know, how it can be so much better. The seeding, whatever. Like once again, the full 64 tournament, like how we have March Madness and everything. But we have all of that good stuff. Okay, and then last but not least, it's like, why does everyone kind of just feel that this needs to be a small little narrow deal? You know, like, this needs to be bigger and broader. So like you said, Kale, this argument doesn't need to even take place if we just make something that, you know, that much bigger. I don't understand why it's the way it is. So anyway, I had one more thing in there, but I totally forgot. It'll come to me. But anyway, gentlemen, so yeah, we're going to beat this with a stick real fast, because I think we've talked about this a million times over already about this tournament deal. But Kale, we'll start with you this time, sir. I mean, what do you think? I mean, Division 3, I think there's 24, 32 teams that are in there. I think Division 2 has 24 or something like that. FCS, I think, has 16 or 25. I forgot. I can look at the brackets right now, and the NAIA has 16. But what do you think personally, Gail? I mean, should it be a 12? Should it be a 16 like the NAIA? Should there be first round buys? Should there not be? I mean, what do you really think? What's the take on your tournament? Because at the end of the day, this should be a gosh damn tournament no matter what. But what do you think, Gail? How do you think your tournament, how would your tournament look?
Well, honestly, I wouldn't have made any changes to the college football playoff. I think it was fine. I don't like diminishing bowls, because I think about those smaller programs, or those other Power 5 programs that will never be on the same level as some of these top 4 teams. These bowls are a big deal to them, money wise, the fan base, the players. It's a huge deal. So I don't necessarily like the idea of doing an expansion, playoff expansion, but it is what it is, man. That's just kind of the landmark. In my opinion, you should start calling college football minor league NFL, MNFL, minor NFL, because that's where we're at. We're doing the same kind of format. If you're going to do that kind of format, and we're getting to the point where there's 2 super conferences, because there's the Big Ten, there's the SEC, and then there's everybody else, you might as well just go ahead and adopt the football principle and just do the 16, right? So do the 16 teams. I like the 12 that they have proposed, but they still don't have the minutia figured out. It should be interesting. But yeah, I'd go to that NFL playoff format if I were them. I would go straight to that. Give first round buys to the top 2 teams from each conference, and or the top 2 teams in the nation in general, 1 and 2. So this year it would be Georgia and Michigan, and then just kind of let the other teams kind of fight it out to play them the following week. That's how I would do it. You might as well just go to that format. It's what's worked for the NFL for years. It's what's made them a ton of money in playoff time and get all those television rights. So you might as well adopt it and move forward with it if you're looking at the business point of view. But if it were up to me, we'd stick to 4 teams, because I really like the Rose Bowl, man. I think the Rose Bowl gets diminished. I really do. I think it gets diminished with a 12-team playoff. The Fiesta Bowl, Sugar Bowl, I know they all rotate, but just the New Year's Day bowls, I think they get diminished too. They've already been diminished. It just hurts programs, and I hate to see that. But, you know, it's something although people criticize Nick Saban for, he's been very honest about it from the very beginning. It's going to diminish those games, so you might as well just expand and do it the right way like the NFL did it. That's just my point of view on that aspect.
Good sir, you have hit it on the head. You have hit it on the head. I agree. Nick Saban also said the transfer portal would destroy college football, and has it not? I'm just saying like that. Yeah. So I'm just saying like, yeah, why might as well. I mean, and you're right. You're right. You are totally right. Cal, we've wanted. I mean, I am still convinced in my own head. I don't care. I'm 5'9", but you know what I mean? Defense is my thing. I'm still convinced if there was a minor league somewhere, I damn sure would have been a part of that in some way, shape, or form. But I just felt like, yeah, there is no minor league. This is the only sport that we have really. It doesn't have a minor. Well, this because college football is basically, like you said, it is the minor. Yes. So yeah. And honestly, Kyle, you're right. And the last thing I was gonna say here that you just reminded me of, thank you, because I have a million thoughts per second and then I lose them also at the same exact time. Yes, we're basically jumping the NFL track too. Might as well. My gosh. Okay, so Taryn, feel free in a few seconds, jump right on in, brother. But Taryn and I, we're talking about about high school football, okay? We were talking about high school football a couple weeks ago, and this all sparked from a conversation that my buddy and I, Alex, had here, okay, a couple weeks, well, actually like about a month ago, maybe 2 months ago, about the national championship in high school football, okay? And we talked about, how basically you got to be one or two. It's like the BCS at the end of the year. The final rankings is basically who's the national champion. So you have a team like Modern Day here in Southern California. You have a team like St. John Bosco here in Southern California. You have these teams that are, up there, as Taryn had put it, basically small college teams is what they are. It's like talent, they're private schools, they can recruit. But anyway, with that said, you have these teams. And my buddy and I talked about this, and he's like, that's kind of stupid. Because I had to explain to him high school work, like the playoffs and everything. And he's like, that's stupid. He's like, that doesn't make any freaking sense. He's like, think about it like this. Like how does that work? Like, if you have a dream season at one school, and you're like, it's kind of like the old BCS. If you're not even in the top 25, but then you break into the top 25, and you're undefeated, and you just win the Florida State Championship, or the Nebraska State Championship, or the New York State Championship, shouldn't you, be honored with having a bid to play state? Doesn't matter who they are, how big they are. I mean, doesn't matter, whatever. And I'm like, yeah, that's not how it works, dude. So he's like, how about this? And this is kind of crazy. This is out there. I don't think this will ever happen. Him and I even said that too. But he's like, how about this? We play we divide the USA into 4 quadrants. South, east, northwest, like east, west, northwest, whatever. And somehow the Midwest gets divided and all that. He's like, and then we have the best two, the top two or whatever of these two of this quadrant play each other. This one. He's like, and then we have what? Northwest versus Southwest, and Northeast versus Southeast. He's like, and then the winner of that will go on to play in the national championship, because we have no national championship game. That's really stupid. And I said, what would be cool? He's like, but that's like 3 more. I said, that's too many games for high school kids. He's like, dude, let me tell you 2 things. He's like, number one, it's kind of stupid that he's like, look, a lot of these kids, it's 3 more games. And I'm like, okay, well, 3 more games, that's still too much. He's like, so what? He's like, a lot of these kids, that's their dream, right? That's their goal, to play more games, to go on to college where they play more games eventually. He's like, so why not? And I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. He's like, yeah, I guess move up football. We started talking about like the dates and everything. They move it up to July, and start games like, I guess, right before, like in the summer, in the late summer, before school even starts. I'm like, wow, the regular season will be over like the middle of October. Then he's like, so what? If they don't get to play past them, they don't get to play past them. I was like, wow, okay. So anyway, the point I'm trying to make with that big long story, because might as well take it down at the high school level, is you're right, Kale. I mean, if you think about that, looking off of Alex's point, and Kale and Taryn, of course, had his say so on this as well. It's kind of crazy to think, right? Taryn had said it as well. Like, it's crazy. College guys, I mean, a lot of them, their aspirations play in the NFL, where, of course, there are more games than in college. But you think about the NFL, well, gosh damn it, we keep on adding games. I'm not a fan. I think we were perfect with 16 games. Now we have 17. I mean, seriously, guys, we're, in our I don't want to expose our ages, you know what I mean? But, we're not super duper old. And in our lifetime somewhere, we're probably going to see, 20 NFL games at one point? I mean, we keep on adding more and more and more and more and more. I mean, is it only right that high school adds more now, too, and that college just adds more with a tournament? I mean, I don't know. When does it stop? Where is there a medium? Adam Karnick says in the chat room here, 8 has always felt the right size to me. So anyway, I've talked way too much, but I really wanted to make those points there. And Taryn, take it away. Kale, go ahead and tail him there. But thoughts on that, man? What do you think?
Well, I was also going to add that you and I watched the video on how college football is changing, and it's not like the old days of college football. And I think college football is really starting to become NFL junior, and I think that it's kind of sculpting that way into being that sort of thing. And yeah, it's kind of a mixed bag. I have mixed feelings about the way college football is evolving. I mean, it's good because that basically we're getting other teams like on the rise, but at the same time, everyone's like going to where they want to go, and they're creating super teams and trying to go ring chasing and whatnot. So that's kind of my little spiel right there. I think that the transfer portal also is a thing right there, but overall, you also want to have like competitive equity as well. I mean, obviously, if you don't want to suck, do something about it. Or if you don't want a team to be that good, do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
But overall, it's just a lot for debate. It's a lot to like debate about. It's basically something to. It's a lot of food for thought, and it's basically you can go either way with this. And I just think that NCAA football is starting to become NFL junior, and it's kind of becoming the NFL's product. And you're looking at like not just the games, just you're looking at like NIL deals and all the other sort of things. And yeah.
I don't disagree with anything he said to the point where from the high school thing, Larry, I guess you're kind of alluding to that. Why don't they do that from the high school level? I just don't know if they could ever level the playing field, like, cause you got all those different classifications, 6A, 5A in Nebraska. It's D, C, B, and A, right? Like at this point, it's almost like if we're going to make it fun and more effective, maybe they just do it instead of like a senior bowl type thing or a senior game, stuff like that you have in every state. Maybe they take the best touted seniors based on film, grade, recruits, and they put them on one team in those 4 quadrants and let them play it out, because I think that's something that people could compete for television rights on. But leveling the playing field, because IMG Academy is going to stomp any Class A football team here in Lincoln, Nebraska, because of the money. I mean, look at the money factor. The fact that they could train all year long, just IMG Academy football, right? They have the ability to live in Florida to do that type of thing. So I don't know if they'd ever be able to do that from a high school perspective, because they'd have to find ways to level the playing field. And I just don't know. And honestly, they could probably do that with the different classifications of, class rank, where the school's at. Like the 8-man would be really interesting. They had an all-star version of that, 6-man, because it happens, man. Each state has it because of the enrollment numbers. You know how it goes. You're a teacher, but I just don't know how they'd ever level that playing field from a college football perspective, dude. Like we're at where we're at because of the money. Like let's be real. This is no longer about the development of kids and young students and stuff like that, making sure they get degrees. Football is now a business. It's been a business for a little over a decade, and never more so than now. The expansion is simply for money. It isn't about the fact that we need to figure out a better way to figure out who the best team in college football is. It's just simply put, this is what's going to give the NCAA and these different conferences more money. And that's what it boils down to. I don't necessarily agree with it, but that's just part of the business. That's part of the country we live in. It's the capitalism aspect. That's what we're doing. So I think college football has been diminished in that aspect because this is now semi-pro. There's no way around it. It's okay that the athletes get paid. I think they should. They put in the work. They're making a ton of money by playing really well for their program, right? They should get some money. I 100% agree with that. I think they should have been able to get sponsorships from people without the NCAA getting super offended that they weren't getting their hand, wet with some money out of that kid's pocket. It's just, at the end of the day, man, it's all been about business. You might as well go that route. And I totally agree with Taryn. Like we've said this whole show, that's all college football is now. It is the minor league for pro football. They don't have a minor league, and they had to retrofit it in one way or another. The SEC is basically just stomping grounds for NFL recruiting anyway. That's what you see drafted more, them in the Big Ten every single year. So they might as well make it one big super conference and just inflate those numbers even more. And that, I guess that's my view on it. I went from the business aspect. I will expand on what you said earlier, though, like talking about SC. I got to give a ton of credit with the new landscape of college football with the transfer portal and the NIL deals. Lincoln Riley deserves his kudos. Yeah, they didn't win yesterday, but I tell you what, man, or a couple days ago, but he did a great job of taking top tier athletes, making USC marketable again, because Clay Helton just didn't do a good enough job of doing that. And he made them a contender. What I will say is this: they lost this year, but I promise you in the next couple of years, when they do get those bigger, badder athletes, because it's going to happen, they're going to be fine. Like they'll be right on par with where Oklahoma was all those years Lincoln Riley was there. The one thing I will say about Lincoln Riley that I think he really needs to change is the level of physicality and the type of dudes he brings in. Yes, it's great to get 4- and 5-star kids, but what you've noticed from the Lincoln Riley era anywhere is when they play a team that has a mentality that they're going to bully you at the line of scrimmage, his teams have struggled. And that's where that spread offense stigma comes in, where it's like it's all finesse. What I think Urban Meyer always did great is he ran a power spread, and he went after kids that had a mentality, not just 4 or 5-star kids. He went after guys that he knew were going to come in and beat the living hell out of their opponent across from them. So that's why I think Utah won. I'm a Utah fan because I have family in Salt Lake City. My grandpa, who's actually in remission from cancer right now, God bless him. He is a Salt Lake guy. He's a former Ute. That's my affinity. That's been my 31 years of liking Utah football. I don't think anybody, and if anybody in college football wants to figure out how to run a program, they need to be looking at Kyle Whittingham. He has 90% less resources than any other college football program in America, Power 5. And the dude still puts out evidently back-to-back Pac-12 championships. He's always been a winner since he's been there. Yes, Urban Meyer helped kind of lay that groundwork before going to Florida, but he's done nothing but succeed with it. And he doesn't have the same NIL principles. Even with this new NIL outlook, he's still bringing in kids like Cam Rising who want to play there. So I don't know what people got to do, but they need to start appreciating Kyle Whittingham and the Utes, because I think they're probably the most underrated college football program in America right now. And we're not talking about it enough. Pac-12 sucks, but they're a reason, and along with Coach Prime now in Colorado, that is going to make the Pac-12 relevant again and competitive again, because they're going to find ways to bring their dudes into their program that fit their identity. And that's just something that I think Lincoln Riley needs to work on. But at the same time, he still deserves his kudos like anybody else, because in 1 year they went from being bad under Clay Helton to a contender as Riley. So I guess that's just my thoughts on that. And then the Deion Sanders thing, man, what a great thing for Colorado. Auburn really missed the ball, man. I think they should have hired him in a heartbeat. The things he can do, what he can sell. Primetime is primetime, and kids are going to want to flock there. I mean, you saw what Arthur Parsons put on our feed there in the Band app. I mean, he's got kids, 5-star athletes, a couple of them already this morning committing to Colorado, where they've had a hard time getting athletes. Sometimes it's just about getting the big name out there and getting the resources, and dudes can do big things. And I think Colorado is really going to benefit for it. I'm not trying to advertise for somebody else, but there's a YouTube channel devoted to going around and looking at college facilities. And Colorado is one of the most underrated programs out there as far as their facilities. They spent like $300 million on their football facilities, indoor, outdoor. And I'm telling you, man, Deion is going to be extremely successful there, because kids are already ready to – they don't care if it's cold. They're going to play for prime time, and it's going to get them to the NFL. So that's part of the landscape. He's adapting. Riley's got to adapt a little bit too. But, if it's going to be a business, you got to love where the college football is heading, because it looks like it's going to be more and more exciting. But, yeah, credit to Deion, credit to Colorado, credit to the Utes. I think the Pac-12 has a bright future. I think college football has just been a blast so far. And, that's why I was really excited to get on the show today, guys. Sorry I went on a little bit of a tangent there.
Dude, no, by all means, that's what this is all about. Thank you for that. Was awesome. Where's that goddamn applause button at, man? That was awesome, man. Thank you for that. That was awesome. And look, I gotta say, my gosh, there's so many things to try to remember what you just said, but oh my gosh. First things first, yeah, Whittingham, amazing. I remember when Utah was in the freaking Mountain West, like over 12 years ago now or something like that, and they were competing with Air Force, they were competing with San Diego State, they were competing, yeah, it was cool, sweet, Mountain West, cool, and now they're freaking dominating in the Pac-12. I didn't think, you knew they'd be a power one day, or they could be, they're in a bigger conference, they can handle it, but that's what it's all about, taking the chance and moving up. North Dakota State, looking at you, Bison. I'm sorry. Do I do that too much, Taryn? Do I do that too much? I might do that too much. I'm sorry. But anyway, you look at schools like James Madison, North Dakota State, who go up and they're like, I'm not scared, I'm going to fight, because you know what, we can freaking take on, and they pretty much almost won the Sun Belt this year. Good for you, James Madison. Good for you. Yeah, Coastal Carolina, who jumped up in 2016. They were in the College World Series, you guys, in their first year ever being a D1 school. That was pretty cool. They lost to Arizona, but who gives a crap? They beat Arizona, I think, in their first year of being a D1 team. I'm just saying, school, I think they were eligible that year. I think there's that dumb probation thing. But anyway, pretty cool. Make the jump. My beloved CBU, Cal Baptist University, where I have my alma mater. They jumped up, and I love it. I don't know if they're going to be competing for any title soon in basketball or anything. What am I saying? You make the jump, awesome. You look at schools like Tarleton State from Texas. They didn't even win anything, okay, at least from what I understand, in D2. But where are they? In the FCS now. They made the jump. You got schools like that. Looking at you, North Dakota State. Sorry. Anyway, Promise, that's the last time I'll do that today. But you make the jump, and look what happens. Do it. Recruit, get the coaches, get your players, get things together, and look what can happen. And I am so excited for Utah. They've done it, man. They're back-to-back champs now. They're part of the cream of the crop now in the Pac-12. I mean, they are now the cream of the crop. I mean, they're amazing. They're a dang good school. And yeah, SC just didn't want it. I really felt like SC they could have had them, but at the end of the day, the better team won because you know what? The team that's more resilient. It is a game of wills. I've heard that before. It really is. You know as well as I do, gentlemen. It's a game of wills. One man's will versus another, and whoever breaks first is going to lose. And that's exactly what this game is. And guess what? The Utes had a much better, stronger will than the Trojans. And guess what? They
bully ball.
Yeah, exactly.
Bully ball.
That's the one in the trenches as well.
Yes, exactly. Like that's what I'm hoping for if Michigan and Georgia meet in the national title game. It may not be a high scoring game, but it's going to be bully ball because like both teams are extremely physical. One more note on Utah, man. January 2nd, 2009, one Mountain West coach ever beat Nick Saban. You know who that coach was?
Whittingham.
Oh my gosh.
Kyle Whittingham in the Sugar Bowl, 2009.
I love that. That's amazing. I mean, gentlemen, think about that. And then, of course, this is awesome. So then the next point I want to talk about, you talk about prime. Man, Deion Sanders, yes, the name is there. Okay, let's rewind a little bit because I know we talked about this before on numerous shows, but sometimes the greatest players don't always make the best coach. We get that, okay? That's a thing that's been thrown out there for so long. I get it. Singletary with the Niners, I get it. There's other examples out there, but he's one that just really pops out because he's one of my idols, Singletary, of course, being a linebacker. And at the end of the day, gentlemen, sometimes you're right. The best players don't make the best coaches. But when you actually do have the perfect storm like Prime, who was one of the greatest to ever play the gosh damn game. He played 2 sports, played in a World Series, I believe, one or two. Anyway, regardless, the guy is amazing. Okay, and yeah, amazing athlete. Then he's a hell of a coach on top of it. Florida State, you screwed up. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. Maybe, I don't know, maybe they need to see
Auburn
more.
too.
Auburn
My God,
too.
man. Hugh Freeze over Deion Sanders? Are you kidding me? No way.
Bad.
Very stupid. Poor decisions, I guess. Hindsight's 2020, but is what it is. But no, gentlemen, you're absolutely right.
Stanford also screwed up too. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
Stanford lost out as well.
Agreed. Couldn't. I mean, it happens, guys. When you screw up, it's the truth. I mean, I'm sorry. I mean, like I said, hindsight's 2020 is what it is. But yeah, I mean, so Prime went to Jackson State, did his thing there. Now he's off to Colorado, and I mean, my goodness, he's going to do great things. I'm excited, man. I mean, this is coming from a Trojans fan, too. Like, I am so excited for him. Well, we're not going to be there much longer, but I am so excited, though, for this team. My gosh, it's been too long since Colorado's even been really relevant. I mean, the last time they were actually somewhat relevant, what were they, back in the Big 12? My goodness. I mean, it's been a while. So at the end of the day, you guys, I'm really excited for this. The big names are there. Well, of course, Deion Sanders is there, his big name, and he's a hell of a coach. This is just great, y'all. I'm so excited for this, and we are going to have a really good competitive team in Colorado soon. At least I'm really hoping for. Once again, big ups to Arthur Parsons here in the chat room as well. And yeah, I love what he says here. He says Oklahoma never won with Riley, but they always got smacked. Well, they were competitive, dude. I think Kale might want to respond to you in a few minutes for that one. But also, he says Deion is going to be successful in Colorado eventually. I agree. I also believe Lincoln Riley, as you said earlier, Kale, is going to be successful in SC or at SC.
Yeah.
So,
well, he has an advantage too because it's USC. It's one of the blue bloods of college football. Like it's not even a fair playing field. But primetime being a primetime. A Hall of Fame NFL player, probably the best DB to ever play in the NFL. He was one of the best college football players ever. And then on top of that, from what you hear reports-wise, like regardless of his failed academy thing, which he really just lent his name to, he was hoping that would be really successful, and the marketing and all the CEOs that were running the business side of it really just kind of failed that whole, prospect to begin with. Prime is about the kids, man. He's about the students. He doesn't need money. He doesn't care. His son, Shanur, is a beast, man. He's probably going to be a first-round quarterback by the way he looks right now. He was responsible for almost 40 touchdowns in the SWAC this year, and he just looked like he was second above everybody else. So he's coming. Travis Hunter, the number one recruit who they stole away from Alabama last year to play at Jackson State, is probably going to be transferring to Colorado as well. Like, Primetime is a bigger name than Lincoln Riley, believe it or not. He is just that dude, and he doesn't have to be a good coach. He honestly just has to use the resources that will finally be at his disposal at Colorado to hire excellent coaches, developers, coordinators, position coaches, recruiters. He just needs to be the face of the program. He doesn't have to do everything. And that's where I think some of those players go wrong. They want to put everything into it. They don't have to. That's why you are a CEO of your position in your organization. You are supposed to be the head of that, making sure everybody is running smooth, that engine's running smooth, the oil's changed, people are doing their jobs. And if that happens, you do a great job there. Not only do you get all the credit, but everybody is successful. And that's all Deion has to be. But he's a good coach, so it's going to be even better. And Colorado absolutely has affinity there. Man, they have the things they need to compete. And all they have to do now in the next couple of years is compete with Oregon, Utah, and I don't know why I'm blanking on one more, Washington, right? Those are the three teams they really have to worry about moving forward. And I do believe that Colorado could surpass them in the next couple of years with what we're seeing already in just a couple of days, 5 stars willing to go there. Deion is going to kill it. And I hope he stays there forever, because I think he's going to rub it in the face of the Auburns of the world that didn't give him a chance. Why? And I hate to pull this card, man, but it's the good old billionaire boys club, man. It is what it is. You're telling me one failed experiment of where he was trying to do really good for the community of youngsters is what's keeping you from hiring this man? Get out of here, bro. Deion's going to kill it. I'm excited for him. I'm excited for Kyle Whittingham. I'm excited for the Pac-12. I was really worried about them at the beginning of the season when USC and UCLA left. They're making some big boy moves by bringing in big names, and that's huge, man. I'm really excited for Prime. Super excited.
I'm right there with you, brother. And maybe you shouldn't have left, stupid SC and UCLA. I'm sorry. Did I say that out loud? Taryn, what you got?
Yeah, and also Kale touched upon his son, Deion Sanders' son, Shedeur. He's actually going to be at Colorado as basically in his press game, or not press game, his introductory conference. Deion Sanders said, and I quote, "This is your quarterback." So this is quite something. Colorado can only go up from here. Like, obviously finishing with one win is tough, but they only can go up from here. The only way they can get worse is if they go winless. But I really think that Deion Sanders is going to do great things for Colorado, and they already have some good recruits coming in from Southern California, and some of them I actually know, and I've covered a few of them. So I really think that Colorado is going to definitely be improved. Like, they're not going to be the bottom dweller of the conference, and I really think that they can probably improve to the point where they could vie for a conference championship. Now, I'm not going to try to crown Colorado right away, because obviously Rome isn't built in a day. It's obviously going to take some time, but I really think Colorado is going to be one of the more interesting specimens, just because they really can be competitive. And with Coach Prime, I really think that he can turn the culture around, just because it all starts with a good head coach. If you don't have a good head coach, you're basically not going to go anywhere. So as long as the players are responding well to Prime, I really think that Colorado is in a good place going forward. And heck, who knows what can happen? The sky's the limit for Colorado at this point.
Agreed, brother.
Talk about what could have been too, boys. Like, Colorado gets Prime and USC stays. You see a mecca matchup between Colorado and SC in the Pac-12 South almost every year, vying for that Pac-12 title game. Like, what? That would have been dope, man. That would have been so cool to watch. I don't know. I'm really excited, and I think they're heading in the right direction. And Taryn's spot on. Like, Shedeur is only a sophomore. He's going to probably be the starter there next year as a junior. Have 2 years of playing experience in college. He's probably going to be a top pick. And I don't know. I just think they have they're playing with house money right now they're going to go from worse to probably 8 wins next year just in one season alone. Depending on how well they take advantage of that transfer portal. Because again, there's a lot of kids leaving, man. I just saw like 4 or 5 Texas A&M kids that were hauled in by Jimbo Fisher the last few years that already entered the portal this morning. So if Prime can get in there, Alabama's got a couple receivers that entered. If Prime can get in there and take advantage of that situation, man, dude, like sky's the limit. And then here's the other big thing that I think Lincoln did that nobody's given him credit for. He stayed within the state. He did a great job of recruiting in California. Colorado's got a ton of talent there too. It's a rich state, like lots of money. Recruit in state, man. Make sure you're getting those big boys in state, because I promise you, if that happens, your program will turn around immediately on top of that transfer portal, on top of the big name of primetime. Just my thoughts on that aspect.
Absolutely agreed, brother. Totally agreed. And really quick, I want to make sure we shine some light on everybody else as well from yesterday. Of course, we had Toledo. They will defeat Ohio, the Bobcats, 17-7, and the Rockets will earn their 15th conference title in program history and their first since 2017. Congratulations to those guys. And then, of course, showing lots of love. We already talked about the smaller schools and junior colleges and all that good stuff. So, showing some love over also to number 10, Kansas State. Hey, good for those guys, man. Those Wildcats somewhere, Darren Sproles and Tyler Lockett and I forgot who else played at Kansas State. They're smiling because they knocked off those number 3 TCU Horned Frogs 31-28 in overtime. This is their 7th conference title in program history and their first since 2012. So congratulations to Kansas State, y'all. Also, big ups to Troy. Hey, at least some Trojans won it. Looking at USC. Sorry. Anyway, we have here, they defeated, speaking of a team we talked about, Coastal Carolina. They will make it happen wearing that teal, and damn it, I love that teal. Their colors are so cool. Leave me alone. I like their colors, and they have a Chanticleer, which I didn't even know what it really was all those years ago in 2016 when they defeated Arizona in the College World Series, Men's College World Series. Regardless, it's a freaking rooster, and I think it's awesome. So yeah. Anyway, they lost, unfortunately, but Troy defeated them 45-26. The Trojans earned their 22nd conference championship in program history and their first since 2017. Also, the Fresno State Bulldogs. This was a pretty good game, kind of, but Fresno State earns this thing, beating Boise State 28-16. I was watching all of these frantically on my Hulu TV and everything on my phone while we were out Christmas shopping yesterday, me and the wife, and there was a lot to keep up with, but it was pretty awesome. What I saw from this game was pretty good, but the Bulldogs dominated. They did their thing when it mattered, and this is their 29th conference, if I'm not mistaken, 29th conference championship or title in history, in their program history, and their first since 2018, so congratulations to them. Next up, we also have the Georgia Bulldogs, as we knew, number 1 overall, defeating number 14 LSU 50-30. LSU fought, though. That was a good game. This is their 16th conference title. And they will earn this thing. Very, very good game there, and at least for them, the first since 2017. If I was off on the conference titles, my apologies. In the chat room right now, we have a guy by the name of Mr. Arthur Parsons. He was on this morning covering all things Louisiana. He's a big, big fan of these guys here. Tulane, they will earn it. Number 18, Tulane will defeat number 22, UCF 45-28, and the Green Wave will earn their 10th conference title in program history, and get this, gentlemen, their first one since 1998. I mean, if that doesn't deserve the applause button, I don't know what does. My goodness. Congratulations to those guys. 1998, I wasn't even double-digit ages yet. That's crazy. About to be, but anyway, in my age. But with that said, congratulations to them. Then we had here the number 2 Michigan Wolverines defeating Purdue 43-22. The Boilermakers made that a game until the end, really, but congratulations to them. The Wolverines are in their 44th conference title in program history and their second back-to-back. And last but not least, in the ACC Championship, the number 9 Clemson Tigers earned this thing. But it was good at first, and damn it, Taryn Dang it, man. I mean, seriously, really, Taryn yesterday was like, I'm going to go with the upset, and I was really excited for this. I said it. I thought that, I mean, everyone else beat Clemson this year. I'm just kidding. Sorry. But I will say this. Taryn was like, I'm going to go with the upset, and I was like, dude, I'm going to go with the team who I really think is going to win at Clemson, but if it's an upset, oh my gosh, it would be awesome. I thought for a little bit it would have been an upset. It didn't turn out that way. Clemson kind of rolled at one point, 39-10.
I want to be different.
Yeah, right. I don't blame you, Taryn. I'm with you, brother. I thought that was a great pick, but it's all good. The Tigers will earn their 27th conference title in program history, and their first since, well, just 2 years ago, 2020. And Arthur says, he corrected me, Tulane. My apologies, Arthur Parsons. But he says from 2-10 to 10-2, amazing story. Yes, Tulane, they earned that thing. So congratulations to those guys, to the Green Wave. Pretty cool. And well, we have some bowl games to get into, gentlemen. I know we're just time is just running away from us here. We'll be getting off air pretty quickly, but gotta say, it's been a great hour talking with you guys, but we gotta talk about these bowl games really fast here. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's cue a little fun music in the background, because, we got some bowl games to get into, y'all. Oh, yeah, let's have some fun, shall we? All right, so bowl games, we're going bowling. Some of them are to be announced, but let's go ahead and get into these. Miami of Ohio at 6-6, they're taking on UAB in the Hometown Leaders Bahamas Bowl. They'll be kicking off bowl season on Friday, December 16th. Oh yeah, I'm excited for this. Why not? It's bowl season, y'all. Let's get excited. All right, next up we have here UTSA 11-2 taking on you guessed it, y'all. UTSA earned it on Friday. By the way, this is a team that, well, they've had a pretty impressive year. They defeated the Mean Green of North Texas this year. Oh, well, it was on Friday, the same night that Troy fell. Sorry. I gotta get that little sound effect. I really have to get that. Anyway, with that said, good old UTSA, they will earn their title. I forgot to mention those Friday games. UTSA, of course, they'll defeat North Texas 48-27 on Friday night. They'll defeat the Roadrunners, of course, is their second conference title in program history. And it's actually second back-to-back, so pretty cool for them. And Utah, as we already know, they win this thing. Taryn and I talked about this already on yesterday's show, but might as well recap it. Number 11, of course, Utah defeats number 4 USC 47-24, and the Utes will earn their 26th conference title in program history and their second back-to-back. So congratulations to them. Well, anyway, going back to this, UTSA. Hey, we have the CUSA champions taking on, of course, the champions of the Sun Belt, Troy, in the Duluth Trading Pure Bowl coming up. Sweet. All right, next up after that, we have here, and that, of course, is on the same day, Friday, December 16th. On the 17th, we have to be announced in the Wasabi Fenway Bowl. We'll find out soon. In the Mexico Bowl, we see here SMU 6-5 taking on BYU at 7-5. Also, to be announced will be the Jimmy Kimmel LA Bowl, presented by Stifel, S-T-I-F-E-L. Okay. Don't know what that is, but okay, presented by them. Thank you for presenting it. We have Rice at 5-7 and Southern Miss at 6-6 in the Lending Tree Bowl coming up. That is also on the 17th of December. We have Florida and Oregon State going head-to-head. Florida at 6-6 and Oregon State at 9-3. SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. Also in the Frisco Bowl on the same day, we have that Mean Green of North Texas taking on Boise State. The runners-up in the Mountain West, North Texas at 7-6. Boise at 9-4. Monday, December 19th. Well, what do we got here? We have... Did I screw that up? I did. Okay. Here on Monday, what do we have here? Marshall at 8-4. UConn at 6-6. The Myrtle Beach Bowl going down on Tuesday, December 20th. We have East Michigan at 8-4, taking on San Jose State 7-4. That is in the famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Liberty on the same day at 8-4 will be taking on Toledo at 8-5 in the roofclaim.com Boca Raton Bowl. Next up we have here December 21st, Wednesday, December 21st. Western Kentucky at 8-5 will take on South Alabama at 10-2 in the R&L Carriers New Orleans Bowl. Looking at you, Mr. Arthur Parsons. So, let's take a look what we got moving forward. Thursday, December 22nd, we have here Baylor at 6-6. Taking on Air Force at 9-3 in the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. On Friday, December 23rd, Louisiana at 6-6. The Raging Cajuns take on Houston. The Cougars at 7-5 in the Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl. Union Home Mortgage Gasparilla Bowl is to be announced at the moment on Christmas Eve. That's right, y'all. December 24th, Saturday, December 24th. MTSU. That's right, the Blue Raiders. The Royal Raiders are about to play in a few minutes. The Blue Raiders at 7-5 will be taking on San Diego State at 7-5 as well in the Easy Post Hawaii Bowl. Sure, we'll be talking about that one for sure on the SoCal Sports Show. Also, on December 26th, the day after Christmas, on Monday, we have New Mexico State at 6-6 taking on Bowling Green at 6-6 in the Quick Lane Bowl. On Tuesday, December 27th, we have here Georgia Southern at 6-6 taking on Buffalo. Hey, the Bulls made a bowl game in the Camilla Bowl. Both those teams once again at 6-6. Memphis in their really cool uniforms at 6-6 will take on also another 6-6 team, Utah State, the Aggies, in the Serve Pro First Responders Bowl. Coastal Carolina, hey, they found themselves a bowl game at 9-3 taking on East Carolina. Hey, the Pirates. Our GM, Miss Angela Winstead's team here at 7-5 in the Ticket Smarter Birmingham Bowl. We also have Wisconsin at 6-6 taking on 7-5 Oklahoma State in the Guaranteed Rate Bowl. Wednesday, December 28th, Military Bowl presented by Puritan. That is to be announced at the moment. Then we will go ahead and jump right on into this game, AutoZone Liberty Bowl, starting up with 2 6-6 teams this year. We have Kansas taking on Arkansas on December 29th. We will have to be announced in both of these ones, the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl and the Cheez-It Bowl. And then, of course, we have on the same day the Valero Alamo Bowl, Texas at 8-4, and Washington at 10-2. So, moving forward, we have here on December 30th to be announced for these following three: the Duke's Mayo Bowl, Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, and the Taxera Gator Bowl. Ohio at 9-4, taking on Wyoming at 7-5 this year in the Barstool Sports Arizona Bowl. And the Capital One Orange Bowl. All right, here we go. We have here number 6 Tennessee taking on number 7 Clemson. Hey, there's going to be a lot of orange in that game, right? On New Year's Eve, Saturday, December 31st, that is. We have here number 5 Alabama taking on number 9 Kansas State. Alabama at 10-2, and Kansas State at 10-3 in the All-State Sugar Bowl. The Iowa Hawkeyes made a bowl this year, and they'll be taking on the Kentucky Wildcats. Both those teams at 7-5 in the TransPerfect Music City Bowl. We have number 3, as we talked about already. This is where the college football playoff will enter this year in the Verbo Fiesta Bowl. That is number 3 TCU taking on number 2 Michigan, and number 4 Ohio State taking on number 1 Georgia in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Of course, we already know TCU at 12-1, Michigan at 13-0, and we have Ohio State at 11-1 and Georgia at 13-0. And to finish it off, we have Monday, January 2nd. Number 16, Tulane. Well, Arthur Parsons already said it here in the chat room. Tulane versus USC. Larry, hope you're ready to ride the wave. Well, let's hope USC doesn't fall apart, but it should be a good game. Both these teams come in at 11-2 in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic, to be announced for the Aurelia Quest Bowl here on the same day. LSU and Purdue. That should be a pretty good one, actually. LSU at 9-4 and Purdue at 8-5 in the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. Number 11, Penn State, and number 8, Utah in the Rose Bowl. That's a good game, of course, the Rose Bowl game. 10-2, Penn State, and 10-3, Utah. And then, of course, it all comes to an end on Monday, January 9th, in the College Football Playoff National Championship presented by AT&T. All right, gentlemen, now if you're not asleep, let's go ahead and, we'll end this one in style. But, gentlemen, that was a whole bunch of games there. Taryn, you and I are going to dissect them all as we usually do. and we'll have some fun with that. But we got Kale here today. I don't know, gentlemen. Now that some of those games are out, some of them are to be announced. We're waiting to see. I don't know, gentlemen. What do you guys think? Who are you most excited for? What bowl games think are going to be like really fun this year? Hey, let's talk a little bit of bowl season before we're out of here, right? Before our teams, of course, Kale and I, Raider fans, and Taryn over there, a Charger fan. Before our teams go head to head in a few minutes, why not talk about some of these bowl games? Taryn, start us off, brother. Who are you excited to see this year in bowl season, man?
I'm excited to see a majority of these teams. The Cheez-It Bowl, not the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, is actually going to be between Oklahoma and Florida State. I don't know if you caught that, but it's going to be between Oklahoma and Florida State. But I'm excited to see Tennessee and Clemson. Now, Tennessee obviously is going to have a new look, but Clemson also is kind of going to have a change at the quarterback position, just because if you saw the ACC championship, DJ Uiagalelei was benched, and eventually that experiment worked. So, excuse me, got the hiccup. And then obviously the granddaddy of them all, Penn State and Utah. That should be an interesting game. I think this is Penn State's first Rose Bowl since 2016 when, you guessed it, USC played them. And that was when a quarterback by the name of Sam Darnold, who wasn't afraid of ghosts at the time, was able to lead USC to victory and boon Clay Helton up to relevancy. So excited for that Rose Bowl as well. You also got other bowls such as Texas, Washington. I was hearing rumors that USC should decline the Cotton Bowl with Tulane and play in the Alamo Bowl against Texas, but I guess that rumor is not going to come true. So also I'm excited to see Kansas because this is their first bowl game in quite a while. I want to see if they can take the hammer and swing it at the Razorbacks. And then there are some other I'm sure there are like other first-time bowlers as well, but I'm kind of excited to see Kansas and how they'll do in their bowl game, just because it's been a long time coming for the Jayhawks.
Agreed. Too many great bowl games there. Kale, brother, who are you excited to see this year in going bowling?
Well, honestly, man, like I'm excited to see. I'm sorry I didn't hear if you said it or not, but North Carolina. They have a quarterback in Drake May who I think is probably going to be the next Trevor Lawrence. Like, he's not going to get the national titles because it's North Carolina. But as far as the talent concerned, like, I don't know if you watched any Drake May games, but the kid's a freshman and the dude threw for nearly 4,000 yards and over 35 touchdowns this year. The only problem North Carolina has right now is Mac Brown has to figure out how to recruit a defense. But I'm really actually curious to see who they match up against because that kid is a lot of fun to watch. The Penn State game, what does that tell you about the Big Ten East? That the third place team in the Big Ten East is the representative of the Rose Bowl, and they still qualified for that. You know what I mean? Against a really good Utah team. That'll be a fun game to watch. I think both teams are kind of have the same DNA, man. They like to play physical. That'll be a lot of fun to watch. And then I guess not necessarily talking about bowl games, but I kind of want to take a chance or take a second and talk about coaches of the year. I think Sonny Dykes is probably the runaway at TCU, but I truly believe that Josh Heupel at Tennessee should get some honors, if not be neck and neck with Sonny Dykes with what he did at Tennessee, because Tennessee was an absolute dumpster fire before Josh Heupel showed up there. And minus the Hooker injury, they should be in the college football playoff. I think Josh Heupel deserves a ton of love, but Sonny Dykes, what an amazing job he did at TCU. Yes, they went undefeated in a really bad conference, but they still did an excellent job. They played really competitive, and I expect them to kind of get steamrolled by Michigan because of how good Michigan is, but it'll be interesting to see how that bowl game pans out. Like, is the Max Duggan train and is that Sonny Dykes physicality, is it going to mix? Are they going to be able to get it done against a much better team, which is Michigan? To me, man, the storybook of the year, I don't know why Jim Harbaugh isn't talked about enough. I hope he wins it all. I'm cheering for Michigan just because I want Harbaugh to get a ring. I think he deserves it. He dealt with a bunch of crap at Michigan. He was about to get fired. He was looking at NFL jobs because of all the disrespect he received. He needed some time to rebuild after Brady Hoke completely destroyed that football program for a while. And now look what he's doing. He said, you know what? I'm just going to go back to old school football. I'm going to go out and get the biggest, baddest dudes on the offense and defensive line. And then I'm just going to go find premier running backs. And we're just going to play old school football. And it's in an era of football where it's spread it out and put up points. That dude is just defying the odds. I love what Jim Harbaugh has done. I think he needs consideration for Coach of the Year, and I'm honestly hoping that they can knock Georgia off and win a title. Their first one since '97 when they shared with Nebraska, and like I think their first solo one since like the '70s or '80s, or actually maybe it was the '50s. I think they're one of those teams that hasn't won a national title without sharing it in like 50 years. So I'm kind of cheering for them, man. That's just my thoughts on that aspect.
Amazing stuff there. Yeah, man. Harbaugh's got my vote, man. He's done an amazing job when everyone thought he would fail. I didn't think if he was going to succeed after a while, but he's finally righted that ship and made it happen. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. Any talks there, Taryn, about Coach of the Year before we're out of here, man? That was a pretty good topic there, Kale. Way to throw that one out there.
Yeah, I mean, obviously you can give it to Harbaugh. I don't think it's going to go to Kirby Smart just because the Georgia was kind of projected to have high expectations. But then, as Kale said, the TCU coach deserves it. I don't want it to go to Ohio State's coach, what is it, Ryan Day? Either way, I think it's going to boil down to Harbaugh or the TCU coach. And I really want to see either of those coaches win that honor. And it's probably going to be between those two. I was going to throw Tulane's coach in there, maybe Winningham as Coach of the Year. It'll probably be Coach of the Year in the Pac-12 if there is such an award. But overall, I think you got to give it to the Michigan or TCU coach.
Agreed, man. Plenty of great coaches there. And, well, gentlemen, that's going to be pretty much that. But before we're out of here, I want to give it to you guys one more time, a little bit of a round table. Before we're out of here, gentlemen, I mean, any last thoughts, concerns, comments you guys want to make? Arthur Parsons says Dykes, Halpel, I don't want to picture his name, BK, he says Willie Fritz, Tulane. I mean, hey, all great names being thrown in the hat. But what do you think? I mean, any last comments you guys want to make before we're out of here?
Yeah, real quick, man. Like I want to talk about UNLV. They had a coaching change. Marcus Arroyo was let go even after the improvement you saw with UNLV Rebels there in the Mountain West. It sounds like one of the leading the potential coaches could be Kevin Sumlin, which would be huge considering I think he really helped put Texas A&M in a relevant position even after the switch from the Big 12 to the SEC. That should be an interesting hire if that happened. I know I kind of listed those candidates on the Sin City Sports Show, 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Spreaker. You guys know how I got to do a little bit of a shameless plug there. But, yeah, I kind of mentioned that stuff there. I think Kevin Sumlin would be an excellent hire. I'm interested to see how that rolls. And then I got to give love to Nebraska. I know I'm here in Lincoln, Nebraska. I live here. But they finally went out and they actually got a coach. Like, I think Matt Rhule is an excellent pickup. I'm really excited about that. You know, Colorado deserves their praises. I think they got the best coach that you could find in the market this year. But Matt Rhule is a program builder. What he did at Temple, which garbage program before he got there, and what he did at Baylor after the Art Briles situation, I just don't know if he gets enough credit for it. Yeah, he doesn't have any wins against top 10 opponents, but the dude in 3 years at each place had their teams winning 11 games. So I'm really excited for Nebraska. Another one of those blue chip programs like Colorado, USC, UCLA, those types of programs where when they're winning, college football is better. And I'm actually really excited about all the coaching hires that have taken place so far this year, with the exception of Hugh Freeze. I thought that one was garbage.
Any last thoughts for you there, Taryn?
Well, I'm just wondering who's going to win the Heisman. That's probably going to be for another discussion, just because we don't want to like jump into that rabbit hole. I mean, you could give it to like so many like players. Obviously, I'm hoping that Caleb Williams gets it just because I'm an SC guy. Like the dude pretty much played on one leg, and I think he threw like 3 touchdowns, and he had quite a number of highlight plays. And I hope he gets it, but that's just my heart going with it. But if I had like more time to like prepare for who would win the Heisman, I would definitely be able to write that down. I'm going to be interested to see what happens with Cade McNamara, the former Michigan quarterback, as he entered the transfer portal. So we'll see what happens with him in his future. But that's pretty much all I got for me.
That Heisman thing, Taryn, that's actually a really interesting situation. The football mind in me says Caleb's going to win because he had an excellent year. He single-handedly turned, him, Raleigh Brown, those kids, they single-handedly turned USC around. But I could totally see the argument for Max Duggan and what he did there in the Big 12. I think those are the top 2 guys, and it's splitting hairs. It wouldn't surprise me if Duggan won it just because I think Williams wins it next year. I just don't. The sky's the limit, man. He's coming back as a junior next year. Like, I'm not saying that they would give it to him because of that factor, but it wouldn't surprise me if that's how it ends up. Because Duggan's he's kind of a Cinderella story right now around college football, and he's getting a ton of respect for the way he played against Kansas State as well.
Very good stuff there, gentlemen. And well, man, it's a bummer to have to end this one, but ladies and gentlemen, that was a great show. Let's cue that music, y'all. We are up out of here, man. That was a good one. Can we just get a hand clap? Ladies and gentlemen, this is what happens. We just talk for days with this stuff, and goodness, it's fun to keep on going. But, ladies and gentlemen, Kale Henderson and Taryn Rodriguez, awesome stuff. Gentlemen, where can they find you? Taryn, of course, brother, where can all these diehards find you, man?
You can follow me on Twitter at KarenRodriguez1. That's where you can find me in all my main content.
And you, Mr. Kale Henderson.
Yeah, you can get me on my personal at Kale_Henderson, and if you guys get a chance, follow the at @SinCity_IESR, the Sin City Sports Show presented by IE Sports Radio. That's Tuesday evenings at 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We're talking all things Vegas, honestly, all things sports, and soon to add on, more of an element, something new. Larry gave me permission. We're going to talk a little esports. Call of Duty has a Vegas sports team, and we're going to talk Call of Duty, which is probably one of the more popular video games ever made. As of right now, their new game mode, Warzone, launched, and they have more than 100 million players that signed up for free to play that game. So it's a big, huge thing. The CDL is a big thing, and I can't wait to start integrating that into the Sin City Sports Show.
It's going to be awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, Cecilia and I talked about it. Is it really a sport on the Sports Club Perspective on Friday night? And, well, we deemed it, yeah. We had a really cool video. A guy with a PhD, I forget his name, but yeah, they're esports, you guys, and why not? We are your direct feed for all that is sports here at IE Sports Radio. So, hey, esports too, why not, right? So, with that said, you can follow me, your boy Larry B, at THE_LB53. You can follow, of course, all the shows we do at IE Sports Radio. Follow us everywhere on Twitter, doesn't matter where it is. Again, all social media, for the most part, at IE Sports Radio. Check out the website, IESportsRadio.com. I gotta go ahead and start that thing up or get it updated every day. And, well, Kale, you and I, our beloved Raiders, Taryn, your beloved Chargers, they just kicked off, and looks like Raiders have the ball. Well, we will see y'all, of course, on the other side. We, of course, talking plenty more college football coming your way on high school football this coming up Saturday. Catch all of our great shows. That will do it, you guys. For Kale Henderson, for Kale Rodriguez, see your boy Larry B signing off. We'll see y'all coming up in a new show very soon. Take care, and as always, God bless.